Good afternoon. Today, the Department of Cannabis Regulation, in conjunction with the LA County's Department of Public Health, will be presenting information about the Commercial Cannabis Facility Public Health Inspection Compliance and Emblem Program webinar. Today's presentation objectives are to cover the phasing, the rollout regions that will be covered, the site evaluation process, site evaluation results, public health permit, routine inspections, and the emblem program. For phasing, licensees with on-site retail sales will be part of phase one. Licensees will be able to voluntarily apply and pay applicable fees for a site evaluation so that they can pursue their emblem for their retail storefront, as well as the health permits required for retail activity. For businesses that are vertically integrated, in addition to pursuing the emblem and the retail health permit, you may pursue the health permits for your non-retail activities. If you are not ready to pursue the health permits or meet the county's requirements for those commercial cannabis activities, you may opt to pursue your health permits for non-retail as part of phase two or phase three. For phase one, there will be 3 geographic regions, and businesses that are licensed within those regions will be prioritized. Again, phase one is voluntary, but licensees will need to secure required health permits to renew temporary approval or an annual license for calendar year 2024. This gives businesses approximately a year and a half to meet the county's health permit requirements, and it will be required to timely renew a license for calendar year 2024. For phase two, all licensees and applicants with a status of local compliance underway through June 30th, 2022 will be able to go through a site evaluation process and go through the county's public health process for either retail and or non-retail activities. And then phase three will be new applicants and applicants without local compliance underway by June 30th, 2022. So any applicant who receives a status of local compliance underway on or after July 1st, 2022 will be part of the third phase. In terms of regions, they will be rolled out by community plan area. So on the slide, we have all of the community plan areas that are part of region one. On this slide, we have all of the community plan areas that are part of region two. On the third slide, we have all of the community plan areas that are part of region three. And on this slide, we have a map illustrating which community plan areas are part of which region. As you can see, the community plan areas highlighted in orange will be part of region one. The community plan areas highlighted in blue are part of region two. And then the community plan areas highlighted in green are part of region three. In determining how we were going to roll out the inspections for the various regions, we looked at different geographic features, making sure that the community plan areas were a continuous area, as well as high traffic areas, such as Venice and Hollywood and North Hollywood. We also looked at all of the pending applications for retail storefront activities. Since the green region has the most pending applications and the majority of those pending applications were social equity applicants, we wanted to ensure that those applicants had an opportunity to receive their license as well as better understand what the county's requirements were for the site evaluation process, so businesses would be able to successfully get their emblem as well as their corresponding health permits. So by allowing our social equity applicants in region three to go last, it gives them more time to prepare to meet the county's requirements. And with that, I would like to turn the presentation over to the LA County Department of Public Health.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gary Herstick. I'm the director of the Environmental Protection Branch. One of the recent programs that was implemented under my branch is the Cannabis Compliance and Enforcement Program, which is responsible for the review and plan approval for new commercial cannabis facilities. The program also conducts site evaluations for pre-existing cannabis facilities, conducts routine inspections and complaint investigations at permitted cannabis facilities, and provides consultation to potential cannabis businesses. And with that, I'd like to introduce Ms. Tao Komura, who's the Chief Environmental Health Specialist for the Cannabis Compliance and Enforcement Program. Tao?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're excited for this new partnership and an opportunity to work with the city and you. So we're here if you have any questions or need clarification. Gary's going to go over a recap of what was presented in April. And after that, I can answer any question that you may have. So Gary.
Thank you, Tao. On your screen, you see some requirements. First of all, what is a site evaluation? Site evaluation is a site visit to determine if your cannabis facility meets current health and safety code requirements. It's very important for you to understand what our department views as critical, non-critical, and general requirements for your facility. I bring this up because if you're taking advantage of the site evaluation process, all critical items must be present and operational in order for your facility to pass the site evaluation. If you're a pre-existing city-approved facility and you don't meet all the critical requirements, we strongly recommend you don't go through the site evaluation process, because if you request and pay for the site evaluation and the facility does not pass, you'll be instructed to submit plans for review and approval by the Public Health Department. And the money that you spent for the site evaluation or evaluations will not be applied to the plan review activities. So if you're unsure which way to go and you prefer an in-depth discussion, we do provide consultation. Just give us a call. Service fees will apply. So you take a look on the screen and you'll see that the critical items needed, all the sinks, essential sinks are available, plumbed with hot and cold water available, approved water heater, toilet is available, and if you happen to have a extraction system, it's an approved closed loop extraction system. Non-critical items are inoperative lights, or you're missing paper towels or soap dispensers, or there's broken floor tiles, peeling paint. Those things you can correct after the site evaluation. And then there are general requirements for all facilities. The building is vermin-proofed. All equipment and plumbing fixtures are approved and in good repair. Adequate ventilation, lighting, and shelving, and cannabis waste areas and the containers are secured. Next slide. So if you're comfortable that your facility has all its critical items, then you can complete a site evaluation. Applications are available online, and we'll provide that online or the website at the conclusion of this presentation. You submit your completed application to the Cannabis Compliance and Enforcement Program at the email provided on the screen. If you, depending on whether your facility was approved for one or more activities, the fees are $334 per activity. You can be approved up to 4, that is up to the city. So 4 activities, times 334 would be 1336, just in case. You have an option to bring your invoice with payment to our Baldwin Park headquarters, or you can mail both the invoice. Whoops. I'm sorry. Let me go back to that. After you filled out the application, email your completed application to the program. They will review within 7 days. Then you have the option of either bringing your invoice with payment to our Baldwin Park headquarters, or you can mail both the invoice and the payment to the Cannabis Compliance and Enforcement Program. After payment is received, the Cannabis Compliance and Enforcement Program will contact you to schedule a site evaluation. Next slide, please. So this is the site evaluation application. You can download it from the website. It's found on our About Cannabis Facilities page under the Information and Documents box. Next slide. Facilities that are eligible to obtain a public health permit or have passed their site evaluation will be provided a public health permit application. Either a hard copy can be provided to you at the conclusion of the site evaluation, or you can obtain the application again on our website. You can email the application or and the compliance enforcement program will process your application and will provide you an invoice once it's available. Next slide. For the site evaluation, there are 3 ways to pay for the invoice. You can either bring the invoice with payment to our Baldwin Park headquarters. You can mail both the invoice and payment to the Cannabis Compliance and Enforcement Program. You can even pay online. Tao, is that correct? For the site evaluation.
No, the site evaluation, either mail or pay in person. This is once you get the invoice for the permit, you can do it online, e-check or credit card. That's the only difference. Site evaluation, you cannot pay by credit card or e-check.
I thought that was incorrect. Yeah. Okay, next slide. If at the end of your site evaluation you don't pass, or the facility does not pass because it did not have one of the critical items, we at that time will refer you to submit plans. And you need to submit one set of plans to the Cannabis Compliance Program, and they will go through the plan review process. All permitted facilities will receive 2 routine inspections per fiscal year. The first routine inspection will be conducted within 2 weeks after payment of the public health permit. All routine inspections are unannounced, but remember, and quite frankly, as I said in the first presentation, after you pay it, you know we're coming within a certain amount of time, so you should be ready. Routine inspections can and quite frankly should be conducted with an on-site manager. And at the completion of the inspection, the facility will receive an official inspection report with all deficiencies documented on the report. an example of our cannabis official inspection report. And you can also download this inspection or an inspection guide to use as a reference and be prepared for the routine inspection. Next slide. For retail facilities, if there are no critical violations, as previously discussed, observed during the routine inspection, the inspector will post the following emblem at the entrance of the store and provide health education materials. The emblem indicates that the facility is an authorized cannabis store. The emblem also has a URL code, which links the user to the inspection results page of our website to view the inspection report and read the inspection results. The emblem also contains a customer call center phone number, just in case someone wants to report public health concerns regarding the facility. If for some reason there were critical violations observed at the routine inspection, we will conduct a revisit, and if they're corrected at the revisit, we will post the emblem at the entrance of the store at that time. Next slide. Example of the health education materials. These have to be posted at the facility or available as handouts for customers at the facility at all times during regular business hours. Now it is your opportunity to ask questions. Rocky, are there any questions in the chat?
Gidget?
There are. Ty F asked, where can I find the inspection form or download the link you just referenced?
It would be at our publichealth.lacounty.gov/EH and for under cannabis business. Or I can send a direct link to Ty if he would shoot me an email at ccep@ph.lacounty.gov. I can send him a direct link. That'd be easier. Any other questions?
Monica asks, what is involved in the health permit plan submittal process?
Permit plan. So if you pass the site evaluation, the application will be provided. Complete the application along with the supporting ownership documents, send it to the program, we'll process it, and permit and licensing will generate an invoice for the permit fee. We'll notify you of that fee. Once it's paid, you would know that we can verify and send you confirmation that it was paid. Then you would know that we'll be coming out for the routine within 2 weeks after payment.
Peter asks, is the initial site visit scheduled or unannounced? And are you notified of the exact inspection date?
Yes, we want you to pass so that we will give you the opportunity. We'll schedule, I can look at the calendar when staff available and what works best during the allotted time. Usually for retail storefront, it takes about an hour, and you'll know by the end of the conclusion if you pass or not. And it'll be a set time and date, so you know when we'll be there.
Okay, Ariana's asking if the direct link can be placed in the chat for the form. I'll work on that.
Okay.
Monica asks, if you don't pass, what happens?
The plan check guidance document will be provided, so you'll follow that to submit plans. We just need one set of complete drawn to scale architectural drawings, permit application and fee. Turnaround for plan review day will be first come, first serve. It's 20 working days, but we'll try to do a quicker turnaround time for you, trying to assist you in the time frame.
Okay, Rick is asking, what is the deadline that non-retail facilities must have passed site evaluation?
We will work with the city on that. So right now, the first phase one, it's all retail for the 3 regions. So that's our focus right now. Other activities, we can come back and discuss it with the city and they can notify all applicants.
Okay, Alexis has a question along the same line. Do distributors and delivery services need to get inspected?
Yes, all 4 activities eventually, yes.
Okay, when will phase 3 be implemented? Does it apply to manufacturing and distribution?
Phase 3, I believe it includes all activities. The timeline for that, we will have to discuss and see what the rollout timeframe for that will be. But again, it's going to be all activities by the end of the compliance.
Okay, Yelena asks, when can licensees start scheduling site inspections?
You can submit the application now and we can put you on the calendar. Hopefully if next week's August, if you start submitting application, we'll get everything processed and start September for staff to go out to do site evaluation. That's the goal.
Okay. Peter asks, where can we find the temperature thresholds for hot/cold water for sinks?
For the mop sink, minimum 100. The hot water should be 120. There's 4 critical sinks, but only 2 that apply to retail storefront. So we have the ware washing, which won't apply here. The prep won't apply. Hand sink, you probably have it already, hopefully, in the restroom. So that's okay. So the other sink, maybe some sites might not have, will be the mop sink. Okay, so that's a minimum 100-degree hot water.
Thank you. Ty asks, can you explain how this requirement is tied into licensing compliance? In other words, can a failed facility still renew their annual license? Regulations are not clear on how the emblem program fits into the licensing approval process.
So if the site evaluation does, if the applicant or operator does not pass the site evaluation, the next step will be the plan check process. Once you go through that, hopefully, well, almost everyone passed that. So there's no reason why you wouldn't eventually get the public health permit.
And for the Department of Cannabis Regulation, we're providing businesses approximately a year and a half to meet the public health requirements and secure the necessary permits. Businesses will not be required to demonstrate that they have the public health permits for the 2023 renewal process, which will begin on September 2nd. However, businesses will need to have valid public health permits for each commercial cannabis activity that they wish to renew for calendar year 2024. If you do not have public health permits, your 2024 licenses will not be issued, and that could result in your business having to stop operating once your 2023 license expires. It is very important for folks to take the public health permit process seriously, and once you feel that your facility is ready to meet those requirements, that you actively submit your information to the Department of Public Health. For our existing licensees and applicants with a status of local compliance underway, you do have this streamlined process that does allow for you to only go through the site evaluation. Make sure you start that process when you are ready to go through it. As the county mentioned, if you do not pass your site evaluation and there are critical issues that are outstanding, you will be routed back to the plan check process and you will have to go through the full process. For businesses and applicants that get a status of local compliance underway after July 1st, you will have to go through plan check as well as a site evaluation before you are eligible to receive your public health permit. This will be a requirement to have a complete annual application beginning in calendar year 2024. So for the folks that are trying to meet the state's deadlines to get their state annual licenses, you will have to have secured the necessary public health permits by December 31st, 2023, or it could result in you having to suspend operations until you can meet these health permit requirements.
Okay, Maurice and Tigran have similar questions as far as timing and how soon LA County will be conducting these site visits and what's the deadline. And is this dependent on licensing, submitting the necessary paperwork and paying fees?
For site evaluation, Jason's going to be sharing with us the list of eligible approved applicants. So if you submit a site evaluation, we will verify against Jason's list to make sure you're on it. Once we go through the list for region 1, then we'll continue on to 2 and 3. And then we'll report back to the city the status of which one have gone through and which one passed. So cities will be updated on your status also.
Next question, if we are phase 3, round 1 in the map color 2, also known as San Fernando Valley, and we are operational right now, what are the dates that we must be aware of to submit an app?
So if you are, so a phase 3 retail round 1 business only has on-site retail sales licensed by the city currently. Any non-retail activities would be associated with a different record. Since retail storefront is being prioritized so that the county can distribute as many emblems as possible to businesses that meet the requirements, you will have an opportunity to participate in this process as part of the second group of phase 1. If you do not feel that you're ready to meet the requirements for a site evaluation, you can wait until either round 2 or round 3. You'll just need to make sure that you've completed the county's public health process in time to submit your renewal application for calendar year 2024. You will not be required to have your public health permit in order to renew your license for calendar year 2023.
Thank you. Emily wants to know, are there additional critical items required for manufacturing facilities specifically or other license types?
Right now, to pass the site evaluation, those are the only critical items. For manufacturing, if you have extraction, those must be signed up for building safety. If you have, so more for manufacturing, and manufacturing, depending on what type of products you have, you might need prep sink or more so a warewashing if you're gonna be washing and sanitizing your equipment. So it depends on what type of activities you are manufacturing or what type of products you're working on.
Thank you. One Zoom user would like to know if this needs to be done annually or renewed each year.
The public health permit, yes. Site evaluation is just at one time. And also site evaluation, if you pass and if there's any deficiency, that will carry on, and we recommend that it'll be corrected by the time we do the routine. So those correction would not appear again on the routine inspection report. But there will not be any revisit on the site evaluation unless you request that we go out for those to verify those corrections are done. But fees will apply for additional site visits on site evaluations.
David asks, the emblem and CCEP will help give credibility to licensed retailers. So he thanks you for that. What is being done to discredit illegal non-licensed stores that continue to operate?
That would be local enforcement and Gary, County Council, or working with the cities also?
Yeah, the cities would be involved.
Yes.
There's two components. So one is the unlicensed commercial cannabis enforcement that is, headed by LAPD, fire department, building and safety, DWP, the city attorney's office. And then there's folks creating counterfeit public health permits or emblems where the county would also get involved in any unlicensed enforcement and any use of a counterfeit or permit by a non-licensed or permitted agency or business. So there is going to be overlap. Rocky Wiles heads up the department's compliance and enforcement unit, and she coordinates with city enforcement agencies, and she will be the lead on coordinating with the county in terms of how businesses are compliant or if there's an enforcement action necessary as it relates to licensed and unlicensed businesses, just to make sure that the county has the requisite information.
Thank you. Ruth and George have similar questions as far as getting a copy of the PowerPoint slides or a copy of this webinar. Where can they access that?
Gary, are we?
Yeah, so we will put it,
Yeah.
this is Rocky. Yeah, it will be in our archives events page at DCR, and we will also send you the county the link, so you can also house this in your website if you choose to, but it will be on the DCR events webpage.
Thank you, Rocky.
Thank you. Rick asked, my facility is in Long Beach. Do we need to apply with the county?
No, Long Beach is not contracted with public health. They have their own cannabis program.
Thank you. Monica wants to know, where can we find water heaters that are approved?
As long as it's commercial and it's adequate in size and rating. So the final result is whatever size you get, it has to be commercial and temperature of hot water. So that's, depending on what it is that you need. But no domestic water heater, please.
Okay, Ty wants to know where in the LAMC code references the emblem program for licensing.
That ordinance was recently adopted by council, and that is under LAMC section 104.23. 104.23. I do believe that link is on our website for the recent amendments. I'm gonna double check.
The recent amendments have also been reflected in the ordinance that we can publish, and the council file has the corresponding information because the council and mayor adopted the county's template ordinance, which also identifies what the requirements are and which activities must meet public health permit requirements.
Thank you. Tigran would like to know what he can do if he does not currently have hot water at his facility and his landlord will not allow changes.
That would be a critical requirement. So if no hot water, you will not be able to pass the site evaluation.
Thank you. What is the deadline to submit for Region 1?
I'll go ahead and put the link to section 104.23. It's already published in American Legal, but I'll go ahead and share it with everybody in this chat.
Thank you, Rocky. The ramification of not meeting the requirements for the public health permit would be you will be unable to renew your license, which means that you would have to stop operating. So if you're unable to meet the requirements, you're either going to have to get your landlord to allow for you to do the necessary tenant improvements to meet the requirements, or you should begin looking for another compliant location that will allow for you to meet the public health requirements. Because if you do not meet these requirements, you will not be able to renew a license and you will have to stop operating.
Thank you. Monica would like to know what the deadline is to submit for Region 1.
So
Can you-
there's,
Go ahead.
I apologize. I'll let you do it.
Right now, we don't know the quantity, so we have to work out a timeline plan. Jason, you have any suggestion?
Yeah, in having our discussions, we think that the first phase will take at least 3 to 6 months to complete the rollout. So DCR will be sending an email communication to licensees that are eligible to participate in the first phase. The communication which will identify which community plan area your license is located in. We will be posting this presentation, which shows the breakdown of the community plan areas by region. And we have a breakdown of the number of licensees. If you're in region 1 and you miss the cutoff for the site evaluation as part of phase 1, you still have the ability to submit your paperwork to the county, pay the applicable fees, and then get your site evaluation conducted as part of phase 2 when the county moves the site evaluations to citywide and starts to allow licensees without retail on-site sales to participate in the inspection program. So it's really going to be dependent on your ability to meet all of the critical components to pass a site evaluation, as well as your ability to submit the necessary information to the county and pay applicable fees to participate. But we do anticipate that prior to the opening of the renewal process for calendar year 2024, we will be in phase 3 and folks will be able to submit information to the county. It gives us an entire year to effectively roll this out and for folks to start submitting information to the county for consideration.
Okay, thank you. One attendee would like to know, are there mock inspection checklists to help us run our own inspections?
Yes, that's going to be on our website for the inspection guidelines. That's going to be, it's provided. We can share that link with you. So it's more of that mock checklist will be for routine inspections.
Thank you. Ty would like to know the difference between the LA Health Department and the county inspections that and wants to know if it's duplicative.
LA County and the city, or?
It just says LA Health Department versus the county inspection.
So the city of Los Angeles does not have an independent Department of Public Health. The city contracts with the county for all public health related services. The CDPH is the California Department of Public Health, which is separate and apart from our local requirements to comply with the local regulatory program. So if the Department of Cannabis Control requires you to go through a public health inspection with the California Department of Public Health, that would be a separate requirement to meet the state's requirements for the state's licenses.
Let's see, Lavrent has a similar question regarding not having a water heater on site.
So as Jason mentioned before, and for us, that is a critical item. So you might need to discuss it further with the landlord or relocate to an approved site.
And just one point of clarification, Tao.
Uh-huh.
Can you just explain to folks that have or that are in shared facilities
Mhm.
and folks that have that could meet requirements, but it's not necessarily within the footprint of that specific activity? So if the water heater is in a shared closet that services the entire floor and you're
Uh-huh.
only using a portion of the floor, you don't have to have your own standalone water heater in the area where you're being licensed, correct?
Correct. So if it's a commercial building and you're occupy unit A only, as long as water, hot water is going to the sink, your hand sink or mop sink, that will suffice the requirement. You don't need to necessarily have your own water heater unless you have, a standalone building.
Okay, let's see. One attendee wants to know what measures is the LA County Department of Public Health ensuring that cannabis waste is properly disposed of?
Or go ahead, Jason.
So the City Department of Public Works, Bureau of Sanitation, deals with the physical collection and destruction of cannabis waste. Untreated cannabis waste is just treated as a green plant product, and the Bureau of Sanitation either does waste collection themselves or they have contracted vendors that do pick up waste. And Tao, you can jump in about, discharge and backflow and some of the other things where somebody could be unlawfully disposing of cannabis waste that could result in a public health violation.
For our requirements, we want to make sure that you have the appropriate cannabis area for cannabis waste to be secured. But we're not going to, follow the route when it's picked up and all that. We just want to make sure that the waste is secured and it's not accessible to the public.
Thank you. Michael wants to know more if there's more information on manufacturing and site plans that may need to be provided.
Our site plans will be part of the plan check process. If you are going through a site evaluation, we would not require any site plan. If you pass that evaluation, you will be provided with a public health permit application and move on from there. Site plan is only if you do not pass the site evaluation and have to submit a full set of complete drawings.
Thank you. Peter and Rick have similar questions as far as the timing for non-retail facility checks and if there will be notice when that happens.
So we anticipate phase one, which we're prioritizing the retailers with on-site sales, to take 3 to 6 months. We have approximately 250 licensed retail storefront locations citywide throughout the 3 different regions. Since phase one is voluntary, it's really going to be based on how many of our licensees with retail sales participate in the process. It could go very quickly, it could go very slowly, depending on the level of participation. But as we start to reach region 3 as part of phase one, we will send out a notification to applicants and licensees who are able to participate in phase 2 so that they could start preparing the materials, submitting the information, their application to the county, and paying applicable fees, so that as soon as phase 1 is done, the county has applications to process to initiate phase 2. Hopefully that helps.
So can we explain and make sure that people understand that these inspections are not voluntary? What's voluntary is when you have the inspection, right? Like in phase 1. I just want to make sure folks know that.
For existing licensees, they can voluntarily choose to participate in phase 1, which is specifically for licensed retail locations with on-site sales. Those locations are getting priority because we're implementing the Emblem program, which is intended to help with public health and public safety goals for the city, so that consumers can identify licensed locations that have met the city's requirements for licensure, as well as the county's public health permit requirements for retail activities. For folks that are not necessarily ready to go through the site evaluation, they don't have to participate in phase 1. They will have the ability to participate in phase 2. Folks will need to meet the public health requirements by the end of calendar year 2023 to ensure that they can continue operating and be issued a commercial cannabis license for those activities in calendar year 2024. So participation in the phase 1, voluntary for licensed retail storefront businesses. Phase 2, all of our licensees and applicants with a status of local compliance underway by June 30th of 2022 may submit their application for a site evaluation. And then phase 3 will just be for all new applicants and businesses that get their status of local compliance underway on or after July 1st, which will have to go through the plan check and site evaluation process before they're eligible to get their emblem and or public health permits.
Thank you. Monica would like to know, can the water heater be in the same room as cannabis products are stored?
Is that existing right now and is it working? If it's working and existing, we will work with you on a performance basis.
Okay, thank you. Monica would like to know, are we permitted to transport waste to a licensed waste facility?
Jason can answer that.
You should reach out to the Department of Public Works, Bureau of Sanitation. You can't use your own independent waste haulers to come to your location and pick up your waste. It has to go through either the Bureau of Sanitation or through one of their licensed and approved waste haulers. In terms of taking products to a recycling facility or to a facility that can deal with hazardous waste for the treated plant material, please reach out directly to the Bureau of Sanitation so that they understand what the cannabis waste is that you're trying to dispose of, and whether or not it could be considered hazardous waste, because there are separate handling requirements for that.
Thank you. Monica would like to know if phase 3 will start in July of 2023.
Unfortunately, we don't know at this time. For phase 1, we anticipate it'll take 3 to 6 months. We'll start phase 2, and then it's really going to come down to the level of participation. The county has been authorized additional positions. They were in the process of getting folks hired up and getting folks transferred into these new positions. They're going to be going out into the field. We have a large city. We're probably the largest jurisdiction that is contracted with them to do this. We probably have the most licensees that they're going to have to deal with. And really the level of participation from folks that are eligible to participate in phase 1 and phase 2 is going to drive how quickly they're able to get into new applicants and then folks that'll have to go through that plan check process. So hopefully we're able to get into phase 3 by July of 2023. If it looks like we're not, then we'll have to reach out to our policymakers to see whether or not an extension to not make this a requirement for 2024 could be adopted, or, you know, how we handle it. But for phase 3, you know, these are businesses that may have to meet the city's full annual application requirements, of which a public health permit will be a requirement before they can get licensed by the city, and of course meet the state's annual licensing requirements to operate.
Thank you, Jason. I don't see additional questions at the moment.
Great, thank you, Gidget. So if you have any more questions or need clarification, please give us a call or send an email to the program and we will respond. Okay, thank you so much for joining us today.
I also strongly suggest that you visit our website for documents like a construction guide. If you have specific questions about water temperature or what's considered an approved this or that, the construction guide is a great document. Checklist for doing self-evaluations of your facility and applications for both site evaluation and public health permit. Thank you.
And I see one more question came in. It says, I thought licensees are able to use private waste haulers. Is this not the case? Licensees must use an authorized waste hauler. So if you have untreated plant material, it's considered green waste, and you have to use an approved Bureau of Sanitation waste hauler. And then depending on whether or not the cannabis waste would be considered hazardous and what would make it hazardous would determine whether or not you have to use a Bureau of Sanitation waste hauler that is equipped to handle that hazardous waste, or if they will grant you an exception to use a private waste hauler based on that hazardous waste. But you do have to go through the Bureau of Sanitation. They and their vendors should be, you know, handling most cannabis related waste within the city. And if you need an exemption to use a private waste hauler, it will have to be vetted by the Bureau of Sanitation so that they know why a private waste hauler is being utilized. They do have contracts with various vendors that have the exclusive right to assist the city in hauling waste. And if you are using a private waste hauler, you may be violating one or more laws within the city, and you could be subject to citation by the Department of Public Works Bureau of Sanitation. I don't see any further questions, so I just really want to thank the county team. You guys have been great partners. This has been a long time coming, and we're very thankful that you're ready to hit the ground running. And this is something that our policymakers have been asking for, so we're very happy that we were able to execute these agreements about a month ago and get everything rolling. So thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank
you,
you,
everyone.
Jason.
Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Thanks,
Thank-
everybody, for attending. We will be posting this webinar on our website, so just keep an eye out for it. Thank you.